Welcome to VPG's Virtual Water Cooler Chat podcast, a platform that features professionals across a variety of industries and promotes growth mindset principles with a central pillar of championing the achievements of women. Our conversations explore a wide spectrum of backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives, creating a vibrant mosaic that enriches our collective understanding and strengthens our commitment to growth and empowerment.
Today we're speaking with Alex Lin, a Juilliard-trained playwright and self-proclaimed Jersey girl. Lin writes to explore complex women and power while also working to bridge the gap between scientific discovery and pop culture. A winner of the Stavis Award and 2 Kennedy Center Awards, she was also a finalist for the 2024 Susan Smith Blackburn Prize. She has had 2 plays premiere at major New York theaters in the same season: LAOWANG at Primary Stages and Chinese Republicans at the internationally acclaimed Roundabout Theatre. Prior to sharing her artistic craft, Lin worked in tech as a content strategist. Let's get started.
Good afternoon, Alex. How are you doing today?
I am great, Ashley. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to get chatting.
So I'm your podcast host, Ashley Chung, and I am the host of Virtual Water Cooler Chat and also a couple of other podcasts that is like LinkedIn. But I am so excited. When I decided to write you, I dragged my mom down to New York City, and I've heard about the play Chinese Republicans. My mom is super conservative, so she was like, she didn't know that I was taking her to see this play. And the night before, I took her to see the Book of Mormon.
Oh my gosh.
An 80-year-old Chinese woman, you can only imagine the comparison, the juxtaposition between Chinese Republicans and the Book of Mormon.
Yeah. Strangely, I think there's some through line there. There's an unspoken through line.
Yes, there are. And then I decided, you know what? And we actually went to the wrong Roundabout Theatre.
Oh, yes, I remember you telling me.
Yeah, I was like going down, up and down. And my mom was like, I see a Target. She wanted to use the restroom. I was like, we got no time. We got to go.
We got to go.
And then we were late. And then we were sitting in that room at the Roundabout Theatre. And they were like, you have to be quiet. And we have to figure out exactly when is the time to let you guys in. I was like, I've never really had that experience before. Mm-hmm. But, oh, well, it's not the first time. So learn first about who's Alex Lin.
Oh, you want to learn about me? Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's about you.
My bio isn't all. I mean, I'm just a girl from Jersey. I started as I thought I was going to do like the good Chinese girl thing and go into a sensible career either in the sciences or something else that was somewhat acceptable to my mom, like law school. But I ended up going into the arts in a really, really amazing, wonderful way. And in COVID, I finally tried my hand at writing, and I got very, very lucky with the people that I met. And ever since then, it's just an amazing journey. So now I'm like officially a playwright, television writer, film writer. That is professionally what I do. And I write stories that I first and foremost entertain myself, but also I think there is a specific focus and lens on this new generation of Asian American stories for sure.
Yes, I love that. I mean, when you talk about you want to do the good Chinese daughter, good girl, and listen to what parents said, definitely can relate. And, my parents were not quite educated. So they had a Chinese restaurant in Lawrence, Kansas when we first immigrated to the States. And some of the friendly friends were like telling my dad, it's like, you need to get the kids out of DC area because they might join the gangs. I don't know. We were like young and everything. So then we were basically pushed into going to Lawrence, of all the places, not the most culturally diverse place ever. Yeah. And especially in the 80s at that time. So we were like, basically, my brothers and I, we were working for my parents at a Chinese restaurant and then going to school at the same time. So some of the stuff when I was doing some research about you and some of your plays, and I kind of came across the fact that someone in the family, in your family that actually owned a Chinese restaurant. And your grandpa, right?
Yeah. My grandpa and my grandmother, they started the restaurant, oh my goodness, I think either in the 60s or the 70s, and it was open until the early 90s, which for any restaurant family knows that is an amazing success.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was a staple in northern New Jersey. It was called China Bull and Bear. Some of the older listeners might recognize the name. But yeah, it was a formative part of my family story here. It kind of was my family mythology in a way because I grew up hearing stories from my mom and my uncle all the time and their cousins too about working in the restaurant. It was really like a total family affair.
Is that why there's a monthly gathering at the Golden Unicorn?
Actually, the reason I put in Chinese Republicans a monthly gathering at Golden Unicorn is because my uncle, my juju, my mom's brother, he works in finance. That's been his whole career. And I remember just one time he told me very offhandedly, oh, like when I first started working at Bear Stearns, that's where everybody would go to eat lunch because it was fast, it was cheap, and it was good. And it wasn't even like an affinity group thing. He was saying that's where I was going with like the white guys to go eat. And so I think in my brain, I sort of registered, oh, that's something that people in finance did. That's where they went to eat. And so it lodged in my brain. It's funny, a lot of people think it's some tribute to, I don't know, the show's cultural background, I guess, but it's a tribute to the show's cultural background in a different way. And it's actually more relevant to the industry that the women are working in.
So yeah, I mean, I'm in legal industry. I was a patent litigation paralegal and then case manager. And 2019 is when I decided that gotta go.
Yeah.
So I started my own company, mostly because it was really hard on mental and physical wellness because I was in litigation. So I was in litigation for about 2 decades. And there's a lot of similarities with finance. And we have we're a model minority, at least stereotypically.
Yeah.
So I just thought that it was interesting. It was Helen who actually said, because we are doing a May 6th event at the Times Square, Temple by Hilton. So she goes like, what are you going to do after the panel? I said, we are going to go to Serendipity for ice cream. And we invited Alex if you want to.
Oh, God, I love ice cream. Yay.
Yeah, it's across the street.
Amazing.
So I'm like dragging some of my friends. I'm like, okay, we're going to have to book for Chinese. I mean, not for Chinese dinner. We don't have time. Because we're going to go see 6 after.
Oh, amazing. Fun.
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, but I've had a couple of friends who've worked as an associate on the show. And I've heard it's really great. So you guys are going to have a great time.
Yeah, so we was like, okay, well, we're going to do Serendipity. And she goes, oh, I've heard about this play called Chinese Republicans. I wish I knew the playwright. I said, well, we are living in a day and age that we can connect with people,
Yeah.
And at the time, I was like, it didn't really dawn on me because I was like running with some deadlines. And then at some point, I was like, you know what? I need to book that ticket. So I went on, it was your closing weekend.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to go up. April 5th is the closing. So April 4th, we went up. So April 5th, we could actually do it. Wow. And so I dragged my mom with me. She had no idea I'm going to take her. So I was like, we're going up to New York. And we weren't even going to do like the Book of Mormon. We just happened to have a hotel that is right outside of the Book of Mormon. I'm like, it's a sign, we have to go. So we saw the Book of Mormon, and then the next day, I was like, oh, we're going to go see the Chinese Republicans. And I told her a little bit about it, because I didn't know too much about it. So the suspense is killing her. So we went there, and the scene that we walked into was when they were testing how Asian or how Chinese are you by the languages that you speak.
That's so funny.
And they gave the translation, and then there was like this, I guess this particular figure of like this traditional Asian woman and figure that basically casting English. And then she was like, what is this? Enjoy it. I'll explain to you later once I figure it out. So it was really interesting. And I think that there were a couple of scenes that I really, really like. Now that it's closed, I would definitely want to talk to you about. So, but before that, today is on next generation of Asian stories. What story do you believe in the next generation of Asian or Asian American playwrights must tell so that we don't lose the stories, we don't lose our heritage?
Yeah, I wanted to use this title in particular because upon reflection of my body of work, I think that's really what unifies a lot of it, even the stuff that isn't necessarily about Chinese people specifically. It's all coming from my perspective, and I came to the title of the podcast really after a couple conversations with my mom and my cousin Christina, shout out to her. They're the same generation. And I remember telling them that actually Amy Tan came to see the show.
Juilliard Club.
Really amazing. Yeah, really amazing moment that she came to see the show.
Oh,
and I remember my mom and Christina texting in this group chat saying, oh my gosh, she validated our experience. She made us feel like we weren't crazy. She made us feel like, oh, this is happening to everybody. And I remember thinking, I don't think I relate to it in the same way that they do because I'm of a different generation. And I love Juilliard Club. And I think the book is amazing. And I think the movie's also amazing. But whenever I've engaged with it, I've always thought, well, that's my mom.
mm-hmm.
I've always thought, well, that's my mom. That's what my mom went through with my popo. Got it. And it helps me. I was like, oh, I understand my mom more now. But I never felt like that's me.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt that's mom. And so I think that's kind of my mission with my work is to tell stories that are relevant to people of my age and experience, because it is different. I mean, my mom was born here. My mom is born here, Jersey girl. She did not immigrate from China. So I guess I'm technically a third generation, I guess. Especially, I think, unique for Asians on the East Coast. I know that Asian on the West Coast, that tends to be more common, but not as common in this area. And even being able to connect with people like Amy Tan and connect with people like David Henry Hwang, who also is a huge figure in the community, right? Artistically. David's stories are David's stories. And I appreciate them. And I think there are ways that I feel seen in them. And they're amazing. And obviously he has a masterful craft. And he truly is one of the masters. But I think there's something beautiful about me seeing it and being able to recognize, oh, well, that's my uncle. That's not necessarily people of my generation or me or my
or you
or my or my brother or like my cousins. There are things that are really different. And experiences that are really different. I'll speak for myself specifically. And there's a through line of this in Chinese Republicans as well. Even being mixed race, very different experience from what I've heard my mom go through, my aunt go through, her cousins go through. Fundamentally different experience. And so that's my goal with my work, is to represent that as truthfully and as best as that I can. For myself, because I know if it resonates for myself, it's got to resonate for other people out there as well. And I think what's fun about it is in telling about my experience, I also am in some ways, at least through secondhand, but still in some way talking about my mom and her experience, talking about my uncle, his experience, my grandmother, her experience, but filtered through this newer modern lens. So that's why I chose the title.
And how do you see your work creating a roadmap for young Asian American storytellers and giving them permission to make sure that their voices are heard?
Yes, I think the fact that it's even happening is a lot. The New York City season this year was really, really great for Asian American voices and storytellers and writers. And I think the younger generation being able to see the diversity even within that, the shows were all so different. Our voices as writers, so fundamentally different. I think it just shows them that the most important thing is that you're being truthful to yourself and what you want to say. And that there is the space in the industry to give voice to that. And so you should do it. If you have something to say, you should just do it, So yeah, I think the work can help in that way. I think with this play in particular, it was talking about our community in a way that it's not always spoken about, and not always dramatized, that sometimes actually there are fundamentally huge rifts within our own community about very personal beliefs, and about the way that we each differently believe that the world should be run, or even more interestingly, how we can see the world in a very, very different way and believe that the world is fundamentally different, or functions in a fundamentally different way. So I hope that's what people are coming away with after seeing it.
You want to hear my thoughts?
Sure. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Always.
So first of all, when we rush in, we probably missed the first 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh God, I need to kind of copy the script and kind of figure out exactly what happened before. So we walk into that scene of like the how Chinese are you in terms of the language test. Like, I probably would fail sometime. And then there are a couple of scenes that one made me cry. It was when the lead, well, one of the lead, because they're 4 women.
Yeah.
And the one that was basically the first managing director that was made at Freeman Wallace. And at one point, she'd been taking in from like other people in the hierarchical structure, the guys and everything. And at one point, basically, she was like, I'm not taking this anymore. She used much more colorful language. And then it was like that relief that she felt. And that was when I cried. Because I took on so much.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the permission.
Yeah.
I didn't sense the permission that I could actually do that until sort of like my dad passed. Because he always tells me that like, oh, you're doing really well with like liberal art degree and you're doing this. And, sometimes parents live their life through us.
Yeah.
And so it's not necessarily the most healthy way. And then they put on their fear on you. I was like, don't do this, don't do that. I'm like, listen, I'm a grown woman. I'll do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I'll drag you up and down 42nd Street and we're going to go look for Chinese Republicans. That's what we're going to do. My mom, the first thing that she walked in was, it was hilarious. She was like, Chinese Republicans, is this the political play? Like, I don't know if that is really that, but, I mean, let's talk about like the conservative views and different things. And when some of the 4 different generations at each different points, they have actually used very colorful language. My mom goes like, totally gasped. Oh my God, they did this on stage. I was like, yeah, she's like, how could they do that? I said, well, we have emotions. We have to express it somehow. We can do that. We can do that too. And then there was another really powerful scene that I really like is when the mom passed and then on stage it was only the daughter. Sometimes you just kind of think that I have a meeting. I do this all the time. I was like, Mom, I cannot talk right now. My brain is like full of stuff. And I want to kind of sort of make up to make sure that she feels like being cared for. My dad is gone and she lived with me and she didn't drive. So I wanted to make sure that I take her on travel, do different things. I was with my dad when actually the family was with my dad when he passed. And he fell at a Chinese restaurant and basically lost oxygen for about 10 minutes. And when we rushed him to the hospital and we got some consultation from a cardiologist and different people and basically said that, hey, here's the options, what are you going to do? And then we're like, he signed all the papers before, so we knew that he wouldn't want to be a vegetable. So we was like, are we going to respect his wishes? And my mom was like, we just got to let him go. So we did all of that. So that was like really ironic for us. And so those scenes at the restaurant, it really did bring back some interesting memories. Now the audience itself, I have to say one of the best parts, we went down to the orchestra and then had the Q&A with the cast of characters. And that was really powerful. I was like, maybe Alex would be here? I don't know. We were not there that day. It was like when I come back to Virginia, I decided that, you know what? I'm going to look up that Alex Lin. And I was like, You know what? She's a younger generation. Maybe she will be on Instagram.
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are. So I was like, maybe I'll ask. Because, nothing venture, nothing gain. That's my motto. And if it happens, it's meant to be. If it doesn't happen, I'll try it again some other time.
Yeah.
So those are like my favorite scenes.
Oh, wonderful. Makes me
Yes,
so
and there is a really mixed audience because sometimes I know friends that are authors,
Mhm.
like Julliard-trained, who's like the Tao of self-confidence. She's a friend of mine, and we also started on, I think, LinkedIn.
Mm.
And then she's been going around and doing like book talks, and she lives in Toronto. So last time when I went to Toronto, we went to Chinatown and had food and all this thing, and then walk
Amazing.
around. It was so fun and have dessert. So that was really awesome, and we definitely have to hang out. And you're definitely invited for serendipity.
Oh, yes, please. That'd be so much fun. Okay, great.
Yeah. Okay. How has your Chinese American identity shaped the stories of the 4 Asian American women in your play? I already know why investment banking firm now. Why is this significant for you to have this 4 women meet monthly at Golden Unicorn? We did talk a little bit about that, but I'm interested in why the particular interplay of these 4 Asian American and women.
I think so much of it came from my interactions with the women in my life, in my family specifically. And superimposing it in a way upon this corporate family. I was really interested in the intergenerational interactions and relationships and conflict just because it was something I grew up with. Very, very, very present in my life, even from being a kid. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one out of the grandkids to have grown up with my gugong popo. I was pretty much living in their house pretty extensively until I was like finished with elementary school. So I think I got, in a way, a small dosage of immigrant kid experience. Very small dosage in a weird way. Somehow I did get a little bit. But so there was always some degree of conflict with my grandmother, conflict understanding, very interesting. And then some degree of conflict with my mom. But the conflict was different than the one I experienced with my grandmother, in actually an interesting way. I found that my grandmother's generation had an easier time speaking to and relating to people in my generation. And I was like, that's such an interesting thing that's happening there. I wonder why. And I almost...
As opposed to your mother's generation?
Yes. Oh, yes. Just in terms of like, I think just because my grandmother had maybe the gift that my mom didn't have yet at the time because of her age, just the gift of hindsight, and to be towards near the end of her life and see all these things I sacrificed, all these things I wish I'd done, but I didn't because I was too afraid. I regret not doing that now. I regret, and I think that actually helps her generation be a little bit more lenient and open with people my age. But I mean, most of the play is really, really, really built on the conversations that I've had with my mother and my aunts extensively.
Built on like Katie Liu and all this.
Oh yeah, 1000%. And not that Katie is a complete caricature of me. There are definitely a lot of elements of myself in all of them, but in particular, definitely a lot of elements in Ellen. But that main character, Ellen, really is sort of a composite character of my mom and my aunt, which in a weird way, I'm a composite character of my mom and my aunt because I grew up with it, right? So that's why I wanted this specific 3/4-ish generations of women in this one space to talk about not only work, but also life.
As you were talking about this, I was thinking that maybe the reason why the grandparents are much more forgiving or much more empathetic toward us is because they are kind of like hopping on our parents.
Yeah.
We are one generation distant from that. And then, yeah, so it's basically that. I mean, what grandparents are for is like to be following us.
Yeah.
So whenever my parents said no, I would just go to grandparents.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go to my
grandparents. How I would do it,
right?
They'll
let me do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like my grandmother had she actually had her feet bound. And she used to tell me stories. because I thought it was just horrible way of controlling women,
Yeah.
mobility and everything. So I was like, Grandma, does it really hurt? Because it looks so deformed. It wasn't completely bound because her brother actually felt horrible for her.
About
So
it.
they
Yeah.
unbound it for her, but still it was kind of ugly looking.
Yeah, they were
And so I just felt, I was like, ooh, I cannot see that. But that was one thing that I thought was really good in terms of the interplay of the different people, and especially when one of the person in the conference room, I'm bad at names, but the one that is basically you're playing on the immigration, the
Yeah.
deportation lens. I was like, oh my God, that particular actress, she is it Vietnamese, American, Chinese, or
She's
something like that?
Korean.
Oh, Korean. Okay.
That's so crazy. She's Korean.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
No, she
So
tricked my mom. My mom was like, "Wow, that actor, her Chinese is so good," and I was like, "Mom, she's Korean." My mom was like, "What?" Yeah, Julie is Korean. How is her Chinese so good? Her boyfriend is Chinese. Oh, okay, okay.
all right, that's
Cheat
fine.
code.
Yes, okay. Let's talk about belonging a little bit.
Yeah.
What does belonging mean to a Chinese American in today's political and cultural climate?
Mm.
And how do you dramatize that tension on stage? You did it well.
I think belonging is something that we've always craved, but haven't totally received without some caveats and without it having some expectations, or it's conditional. It's conditional. The terms of agreement are conditional, and the offer is conditional at present. But I think we've always wanted belonging. I mean, we're absolutely a population. We're like a hub of that old American dream, right? The immigrant dream. So many people of our diaspora have come specifically to America in pursuit of that. And I don't want to totally generalize, but I do think it's very noticeable within our community. Assimilation is on the mind. Assimilation is very
it's their thing when you come to say assimilation.
Assimilation is on the mind 100%. And it's because there is a great desire to feel that belonging. And because it hasn't been offered to us historically without conditions, unconditionally, as it should be, as is the promise of the country, but not necessarily the reality. Because of that, we've had to cultivate our own sense of belonging and our own sense of feeling like we deserve to be here. And I think that's why you see the strength of Chinatowns, like the cultural integrity of a lot of Chinatown. Of course, there's some things going on in Manhattan Chinatown right now and have been going on for quite a while, unfortunately. But a lot of the Chinatowns here in the States do have a lot of cultural integrity and strength and pride in that, because we had to, because we were basically forced to do that or not survive, right? And I think that storytelling is important for our community because it's not only allowing us to engage with a story that we all feel like we can relate to and we don't feel like we have to explain anything to each other, and it's amazing to see ourselves on stage, right? But also it forces people not within our community to acknowledge us and recognize us and see the story, forces them to maybe move out of their comfort zone a little bit and watch something that involves people of the Chinese American community, right? And I think that was something very powerful that we saw with Chinese Republicans. It wasn't just a lot of Asian audiences, although there were, which was amazing.
There were a lot of mixed different audiences.
A lot of different, yes, many different people, white people, Black people, any type of other like immigrant diaspora. I had like Eastern European immigrant kids come up to me, Cubans, so many Dominicans, like so many different people were coming to see the show and found something to enjoy and relate to, which is just amazing. And it also, I think, is really good for our community to show people that we're not the, the strange stereotype of like the quiet, well, I'm just going to keep my head down, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to be involved with anybody else. Like, no, look at the amazing portrait of us in totality, and not just the nice stuff.
Mhm.
Also the really complicated, weird, difficult stuff too. And I think that's why people who aren't Chinese really liked the show, because a lot of people can
It was
relate.
so honest.
Yeah, difficult. A lot of people can relate to having a hard time with people that are your family. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You're not kidding. What internal narratives must you overcome to identify yourself as a playwright with a purpose? When you are also a content strategist, you were in tech, and I'm not even going to go into it, how difficult it is when people cannot relate to you and you're trying to figure out, like, you don't know exactly where this is going.
Yeah.
You're a student at Juilliard, very, very high achieving in many ways, but just because people are high achieving doesn't mean that they don't have problems.
Yeah.
And doesn't mean that they don't have conflicts. So what are the narratives that you have to overcome? Can you give us a glimpse of what did you have to overcome to become how successful you are, at least growing into that role?
I think in a funny way, and I feel comfortable saying this, she knows this now, she's so proud. But the first thing I had to overcome was my mom's voice in my head saying that this was a stupid idea and that I wasn't going to make any money and I was going to be poor and destitute and there's no way that this could happen. Not that she ever would actually say explicitly that, but just the voice of fear.
The voice, the soundtrack is so bad.
Oh, and yeah, and that is 100% my mom. And she was just being a good mom. She was just trying to protect me. She just wanted me to have a good life, right? Stable life. But that was the first hurdle. This voice in my head that said, why would this work? Why would this work? This is crazy. I mean, even after seeing Crazy Rich Asians, just knowing the reality that that was the first movie in 25 years that had featured a majority Asian cast and starred majority Asian cast. Mm-hmm. And so overcoming even that narrative was crazy, right? I had to convince myself, well, if I'm enjoying it, chances are somebody else is going to enjoy it. So let me actually, in a very weirdly Epicurean way, prioritize my own enjoyment and my own sense of fun here in telling this story, while also feeling like I'm remaining truthful and I have something to say and I'm saying it clearly. That was step number one. And now being established, I think the next hurdle is not trying to chase perfection in a way that is unhealthy, right? Or not trying to recreate the effect of Chinese Republicans, right? Or trying to recreate that story. Let me do it again. Let me do that story again. No, to me, that story, you know, if the adaptations come, then adaptations come. But in terms of like a play, I'm like, well, I told that story. I said what I had to say about that specific thing. Now let me move on to what's the other thing that I want to talk about, and also sort of overcoming the narrative in my head. Once you get well known for a certain type of play or a certain type of art, there could be a risk of getting pigeonholed into that one thing.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah, which isn't necessarily wrong. I mean, I do think I do have some facility and skill in corporate dark comedy. I worked corporate for a long time. I know the language, right? However, that's not the only thing that I want to speak about. That's not the only thing I can speak about or that I am interested in. And so that's the other hurdle too, right? Oh, if I give them something that they're not expecting from me, are they not going to like me anymore? Are they going to think I'm a flop? Are they going to think, oh, she jumped the shark. She jumped the shark with her own career. And just having to overcome that in my head, what that entails is just believing in what I'm doing. And again, reprioritizing fun and my own enjoyment and believing, okay, well, if I like it, then somebody else is probably going to like it.
Well, I like that.
I'm glad. It makes me happy.
So I just wanted to thank you for being on the virtual Cool Chat today. And then to see you on May 6th.
Yes, I'll see you.